Happening now, Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel joins us live to talk about his efforts to continue to reopen the local economy and his bid for this fall's election. Plus, what we know about a high-speed chase on I-86 yesterday.
Well, the sun is shining down on you once again today, but we've got one more, but we've got a couple days of heat and humidity, then it cools down. I've got the details next. The News at Noon starts now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. The City of Dunkirk Police Department says one person was killed in a single vehicle crash yesterday afternoon. Police responded to a crash just before 4:30 in the 600 block of South Roberts Road, where a single vehicle struck a tree. Officers say the driver was found dead at the scene, but they're not releasing their name yet, pending notification of next of kin. Dunkirk police were assisted at the scene by the Dunkirk Fire Department, Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office, Accident Reconstruction Team, and the County Coroner's Office, along with County Fire Police. They say the incident was investigated by members of their 3-11 platoon and the Detectives Bureau. The Falconer Fire Department has been tabbed to receive a $125,000 federal grant through the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program. That according to Congressman Tom Reed, who announced the news this morning. In addition, the City of Dunkirk Fire Department will receive $155,000 in grant money. The grant program is administered by the Department of Homeland Security's Federal Emergency Management Agency and the U.S. Fire Administration. The congressman says the funding helps local departments to serve and protect their communities, and the grants are vital part of their operation, according to Reed. The Trump administration remains adamant about reopening U.S. classrooms this fall. It released 8 general recommendations for schools similar to earlier hygiene tips. That comes on the heels of some students and staff entering isolation after testing positive for COVID-19 in some places nationwide. Our John Lawrence explains.
President Trump announcing the federal government is providing up to 125 million masks to schools nationwide.
My administration also stands ready to deploy CDC teams to support schools that are opening and schools that need help in safety.
The White House is encouraging students and staff to use masks, but there's no mandate.
The president's priority is to open the schools and open them safely and have parents have the options to either use open schools or do whatever they can to eventually get back to open schools.
But some health experts are skeptical about the White House's new coronavirus advisor, Dr. Scott Atlas.
A neuroradiologist, someone with no public health experience, who has advocated for herd immunity, now advising the President of the United States. Herd immunity means 1 million dead Americans. That's what it would take to get to herd immunity. That's not a plan, that's a catastrophe.
The push to get students back in class comes as the U.S. is averaging nearly 53,000 new cases per day, according to Johns Hopkins University. That's an 11% drop from the week before.
We got to go to school. We got to open up. We got to open up our schools and open up our businesses. And a lot of it has been open, but we can do better.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
All right, John, thank you. President Trump also said yesterday that the U.S. is now working with Europe on the difficulties related to the COVID-19 outbreak. Well, several more street improvement projects have been announced for this year by the Jamestown Department of Public Works, all to be completed by this fall, weather dependent, of course. In addition to previously announced projects, these new projects are set to be complete this summer or this fall, depending on weather and contractor availability and material costs. The projects include milling and overlay on South Main Street to the Main Street Bridge, Delaware Avenue, Prather Avenue, and Crescent Streets. Now, in addition, curb and brickwork is also slated for Ellicott Avenue and curb improvements on Andrews Avenue from Harding to 3rd Street. Well, we thank everyone for joining us here for WNY News Now as well. We make our way through this August week. Let's check in with the comments and say hello to Wendy. Great to see you here. Thanks for joining us today. Good to see Laurel, Joseph, Bill as well. Thanks for joining us. Good to see Kayla. Good to see Heather, Raymond, and Dawn joining us as well. David, Lisa, and Rod is here. Hopefully everybody is having a good day. We thank you so much for joining us for WNY News Now. Let's now get a first check of our weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. And Dakota, looking live over Chautauqua Lake right now, it looks like it's shaping up to be a pretty good day with lots of sunshine out there.
Yes, there's going to be a lot of sun that's smiling down on you. Look at that lake. I mean, you know, if you want to get out on the lake today, is going to be a great day for it. Let's take a live look over Salamanca for you, the beautiful Allegheny Mountains, 78. But look at this dew point at 55. That's the key today. The dew point is down. Now, wanted to start off with this because it's kind of quiet. Now, notice how on First Defense Doppler, we're showing this kind of stuff basically just to the west of Buffalo. This is not precipitation. What this is, it's called ground clutter, and if we put this in a time lapse, you'll notice how it's not really moving. Well, that's actually because the radar is in what's called clear air mode. There's two modes, of course, that the Doppler radar does, and clear air mode is basically a higher sensitivity. The dish spins slower, so we're able to pick up things like dust and bugs in the atmosphere, and all of this down here is actually interference from the wind turbines that are out near Warsaw. But anytime you see it little dancing a jig like that, that means it's not precipitation. That means that it's basically ground clutter or dust or bugs in the atmosphere. So there's your Peg the Geek Meter segment. Humidity today, pleasant. We're going to keep the humidity relatively low basically throughout the rest of the week, but we will spike it up tomorrow, and especially on Saturday. We'll stay kind of humid on Saturday as well. But all in all, not bad. Of course, it could be a lot worse. 78 was the high yesterday. 62 is, of course, the low this morning. So through the afternoon today, another day of bright sunshine, bit warmer than it has been, but still kind of comfortable humidity. 80 at the immediate waterfront to 86 while inland, with a northeast wind averaging about 5 to 10 miles per hour. We've got some rain in the forecast for the weekend, then we shift the weather in a drastic way in the next week. We'll talk about it in a few. Jay?
All right, Dakota, thank you. A suspect believed to be wanted out of Canada was arrested yesterday following a vehicle pursuit on I-86. New York State Police say the chase started just before the I-86 bridge over Chautauqua Lake at around 1:30 when troopers attempted to pull over a speeding stolen vehicle. That pursuit continued east until the Jeep Grand Cherokee broke down just past the Kennedy exit. Police believe an apparent oil pan damage ended that chase. Troopers say a male, later identified as 34-year-old William Stevens, allegedly displayed a knife at officers as they were attempting to take him into custody. Stevens was, however, arrested. Through investigation, police believe that Stevens entered the country via the U.S.-Michigan border and then allegedly stole a vehicle. Charges are pending as they continue their investigation. Troopers were assisted by Ellicott Police and the County Sheriff's Department. Well, a $54,000 federal grant has been awarded to Chautauqua County for emergency planning and operations. This according to an announcement by Governor Andrew Cuomo. The money can be used from anything ranging from development and implementation of training and exercises to getting new response resources. Funding can also be allocated for supporting management activities, planning, staffing, equipment, or construction or renovation of emergency operations centers. Now, the governor says the grants help counties deal with disasters like COVID-19, flooding, fires, explosions, and other unforeseen events. Cattaraugus County will receive a similar grant for just more than $34,000. Well, coming up next, Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel, you see there, joins us live to talk about the continued effort to reopen the local economy and now his bid for election this fall. And a little later on, we'll tell you about this year's Lucio Ball Comedy Festival. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
I grew up in a single-parent home. We were raised by my mom in a one-bedroom apartment in Queens, and I slept in what was supposed to be a dining room just off the kitchen. We were poor and fell behind in our bills. More than once our electricity was shut off and there were eviction notices taped to our door. I remember walking into our kitchen and finding my mother standing by the stove, crying to herself because she didn't know what to do and felt helpless. I was about 9 or 10 when our apartment was robbed. I remember arriving home with my mother and brother and finding the door open, feeling confused because the first thing I saw was that our television, a set which forever sat on a stand in the living room, was missing. I know firsthand what it's like to be a victim, to be assaulted, robbed, to have things taken from you which you're never going to get back, and to be scarred by experiences which 30 and 40 years later still haunt me. We're lucky enough to live in Chautauqua County where by and large we feel safe, but unfortunately bad things do happen here. I want to be the district attorney who personally prosecutes the most serious crimes and who's there for victims every step of the way. These are the people I want to represent, to fight for their justice, to fight for our justice in the courtroom, to help people who have suffered at the hands of others. This is why I want to be your district attorney.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. This week, Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel praised the news that Ohio was removed from the state's COVID-19 travel advisory, touting a big win in the effort to jumpstart the local economy, bringing back tourism to the area following the COVID-19 shutdown. Joining us on the broadcast to talk more about the reopening efforts and his campaign for office is Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel. Sir, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Justin.
Well, about a week ago, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced that gyms and fitness centers won't be reopening in the foreseeable future because of COVID-19 safety concerns. You've been a big advocate for reopening them. At this point, is there any hope in that effort to get them back open?
Well, we've been told all along that they are looking at it, they're reviewing the information. I asked in our control room, and having a degree in physical education, a master's degree in exercise science and human performance, I said, I'd like to see the data and show us. I've got the information from the YMCAs nationwide where they've not seen an uptick. And quite honestly, if you go across the border into Warren and Erie counties, both in Pennsylvania, they've not seen an uptick in their gyms and health facilities that are open. So, I asked if we looked at that, and continue to look. Now, I was given a little bit of information yesterday that there will be an announcement coming shortly. We don't know exactly what that is, but we're hoping that it will be with some guidance on gyms and fitness centers. It's, whether it's our YMCA, I got, heartbreaking news. It was a Urban Spin had to close down. Their owners were very disappointed in the effort. But, I'm getting a lot of information from other gym owners from across the county and their concerns, and I'm bringing those to the governor's office and the control room almost every time we meet. So they're well versed in hearing my voice and my concerns, and every time, I bring it with the facts and the data. So hopefully they will look at this in a very responsible way and open gyms accordingly in a safe manner.
And that's the thing, is a lot of people are traveling to places like Warren to do their workout. And we've talked to gym owners who are concerned that now that they're there, they might not come back. And I think that in the very beginning of the reopening process was a concern for a lot of businesses, but gyms, they've been out for months now.
It is.
Almost half a year.
Yeah. Well, I know, I'm very familiar with the owners of Anytime Fitness here in Jamestown and also in Warren. And, a tale of two cities. They're both Chautauqua County residents. One owns a facility in Warren. They're up and operational. And, there are people from Chautauqua County crossing the border to work out. Also at YMCAs, I've been told, people from Jamestown have gone down. So it's concerning because we don't want, we don't want our residents to leave and we don't mind supporting other businesses, but not when our businesses are struggling. We need to support our own. And, I'm going to continue to fight every time we get on this conversation with our control room that we need to look at those businesses that are not open. So I was told there's a glimmer of hope. So I will be pressing tomorrow in our control room call, that we get some information. We'll see what that is.
Now, in regards to the control room, being a member of that for the last few months in the reopening process, how beneficial is that? And do you think that your voice and Mayor Sundquist, the other local representative in that control room, are able to get things across to the governor? I know we've talked about that before, where you said that the lieutenant governor listens to you. It's just a matter of getting some action.
Correct, and they do. And Lieutenant Governor Hochul's been good at getting that information across. And whether it's going back to outdoor dining, that was something I asked for early on, and now we're looking at gyms, and she hears that message. But a lot of things. For example, moving Ohio or looking at Ohio. I brought the data. Pennsylvania and Ohio at this point share the same infection rate at a 5.1%. And I said to the Lieutenant Governor, I said, listen, if you're going to put Pennsylvania on the list, we need a lot of guidance, because there are several. I mean, we have employees here in and around the area that work in New York and live in Pennsylvania, and not every job that's open right now is considered essential. So we would need guidance. So are you moving Pennsylvania on the list or moving Ohio off? And in concert with our senator and Assemblyman Goodell wrote a letter to the governor, and I supported it in our control room. And I like to think that voice, because let's face it, we're the closest county to Ohio, and we know that the Ohio residents and coming here to Chautauqua County help our economy. So, I say this in our control room, and I speak with a loud voice when the opportunity is there. We are the only county in New York State that is bordered on two sides by the state of Pennsylvania, Erie County to our west and Warren County to our south. So again, a unique opportunity here for Chautauqua County, but though our voices are being heard. She repeats that. Lieutenant Governor Hochul repeats that, it's not going to a black hole. The information does get there, and we have seen results. So I'm confident that our voices are heard, and we're getting the message to the governor's office.
Now, unfortunately, throughout the reopening process, we've seen some businesses open up and then announce that they have to close down for whatever reason. Do we have an assessment of how much of an impact COVID-19 has had on our local economy so far?
Well, we're evaluating that all the time. We're looking at, I'm in contact with the Chamber of Commerce. We're also in contact with our IDA. We had an outreach program with our IDA and economic development teams as we began COVID. Prior to COVID even starting, we started an outreach program to businesses who we felt that might be in jeopardy. And we're continuing to do that and have continued to do that through the COVID crisis. We're hearing, more and more businesses that are closing due to COVID-19, and it's very disappointing. And the reason I say more disappointing than anywhere else in New York State is our prevalence has been 1% or right around there, almost from the very beginning. We did have some times where our cases went up, as high as 5 and maybe as high as 9%, but that was based on the number of tests we were doing at that time, and they weren't that many. So as our testing ramped up, the numbers have stayed relatively low here in Chautauqua County. If you look at the scare we had right around July 4th, and I wouldn't even call it a scare, but we did see that uptick that concerned a lot of people. At one point, we had 45 active cases. That week, from the 5th of July through the 11th, we tested nearly 3,000 people, 2,822 to be exact. 42 of those were positive, which is a 1.5% infection rate. So again, although those numbers did come up, we were testing a lot of people, but the prevalence was low, although we had 45 active cases and tested positive. Again, our infection rate was low. So we keep that in mind. Having said that, it's very concerning when all these businesses are closed and we're looking at the same closures based on Westchester County, Orange County, places where they've seen astronomical infection rates into the tens of thousands. So, we're fighting the fight. We bring this to the control board all the time. At this point, I would really like more consideration into a county by county approach as we start to open a little bit more. My request for more phases, I was told, was denied by the governor. It did, it was brought to the executive chamber, and I was, responded by Lieutenant Governor. She wittingly called them the Wendel phases, that they will not take place. But I did that in essence for our residents to realize we still are in this pandemic, and that is a concern. And getting the message out that we still need to follow our guidelines. But it's just very disappointing to hear businesses aren't able to open. I know there's been some restaurants that, because of a 50% occupancy, aren't able to open because the overhead is too much. So, I'm urging the governor to look at that, basing on a county by county basis. Our prevalence has been low, remains low. Our residents are doing the right thing. We need to now help the rest of our residents and the business owners and get back in and support them and open their businesses effectively.
And it seems like that's what we need to find is a balance between reopening and safety as well. Do you know the right path to find that balance between having businesses be successful, having people live some sort of normal life, and this public safety?
Well, I feel very confident, Justin, and we've said that from the very beginning. Our contact tracers, which they've been working around the clock since the very beginning, and they're doing a phenomenal job. With our travelers quarantine, we have employed virtual contact tracers. They are from Western New York, just not immediate employees of the county. But our county contact tracers have been phenomenal. Christine Schuyler and their group, whenever they see, we haven't seen much, but if we start to see something where there might be a hot spot or a cluster, as they've been called, we will get on that, attack that aggressively, make sure the contact tracing is done and getting to the bottom of it and getting to the source. So I feel confident with our team is at the ready. They have been from the beginning. They're doing a phenomenal job thus far that we could open. I've likened it now. The governor talked about turning on that faucet. Well, it's been a slow trickle for a long time. We need to open up a little bit more safely and be ready with our contact tracers and health department to be able to shut that faucet off should it need to happen. I feel very confident that the responsibility of our residents of following our guidelines and doing what it takes to do the right thing to open will show that we can do this responsibly, keeping our residents safe, but still opening our economy more than what it is right now.
And switching gears here a little bit, this fall election comes with a number of challenges, mainly because of some of those gathering restrictions that are in place. For you, how has it been campaigning for county executives so far?
Well, the campaigning piece has been hard, obviously, without large group gatherings. Right now, it's enforced strongly by the governor not to have anything more than 50 people. So early on, I was able to have an event, and we've had a couple events canceled, and we will move forward as we're able to, safely and responsibly, following the guidelines the governor puts out. But the focus for me right now, there is an election in the fall. I have an opponent, but my focus right now is running Chautauqua County, and that's what my focus needs to stay. As we are able to open up and get out and meet people, that'll happen. But right now, the importance is making sure that our budget, as it's starting our budget season, we're starting to have meetings. We're going to focus on that, focused on the previous or the current budget right now and making those changes. So there's a lot that's been coming along, and it's been said, some people have referred to it, that my campaigning is running the county, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going to focus on that, and we're going to continue to do the job that we've done from day one, which is using open, transparent, a unity of effort, getting the message out, being strong, being concise, and right now through this COVID pandemic is basing everything on the science and the data. No anecdotal information. We want to just get the facts out for everybody and keep the message clear so people understand what's happening.
And really, since the beginning, since you were appointed as executive, when Executive Borrello became Senator Borrello, you really hit the ground running with the COVID pandemic. Do you think that being appointed as executive as opposed to being elected as one, do you think that's an advantage or maybe a disadvantage now that you're trying to campaign a little bit?
Well, that I'm not 100% sure. If you look at it, the confidence of both sides of the aisle unanimously selecting me as their choice for county executive says a lot about my approach, my accomplishments in the past, and what I look to do here in the future. Most of my colleagues all of my colleagues have known me in the legislature. They know who I am. They know what I'm about. They know what I stand for, and they know, what my intentions were and my goals as I took the office. Obviously, things change a little bit with COVID-19, but with experience, in leadership, also working with many of our leaders that are on I sometimes call them my control room. It's my response team. Our Sheriff Emergency Services Director, Christine Schuyler, Doctors Walters, Burke, and Falk. I've worked with all of them over the years. So a great team. My experience with them has helped us and moved us through. And, just understanding in that relationship of leadership that I've had is going to continue. And, I feel that has been an asset. And, the colleagues in the legislature recognize that and, appointed me. And I'm going to continue doing what they've asked me to do and tasked me to do in running Chautauqua County in the hopes that, the residents of Chautauqua County will see what I've done and vote, to keep me in office for next year.
And finally, we thank you for joining us today. If elected to a full term this fall, what's your number one priority?
Well, my number one priority, obviously, is there isn't any one priority. There's several. We are looking at Chautauqua Lake. We're looking at our economy. We're looking really as what's going to happen as we come out of COVID, because we're not out of this yet. The information is we could be and quite probably will still be in some sort of restriction, through the end of the year. So as we move through this, we need to keep the information going. Information is out there. Potentially, we could see an uptick in the fall. Will we see an increase? But there's a lot of things that are happening. We have again, our budget is a concern. How do we prepare this year's budget with so many unknowns? We had an informational meeting yesterday with NISAC and Robert Mojica, the budget director, and, telling us potentially we could be looking at 20% cuts in state aid. They don't know what will be cut, where it'll be cut, but just potentially prepare for a 20% reduction. So, we're monitoring. I monitor every day the national news with our congressman has been great getting the information to us. Tom Reed has been phenomenal. Our senator and assemblyman keeping me posted on what's happening in the state. So, we're going to be looking at things. Chautauqua Lake is still there. It's an economic engine. We've had concerns. A lot of great things moving with that. There's a lot of, information is going to be happening. Not information, science is going to be taking place starting on Monday with the DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers. We have a couple of other projects that are being announced. Some great science is going to be taking place in Chautauqua Lake, and that is going to be our driver as we prepare for, treatment and, looking at the lake. But we're looking at our economy. We're looking at bringing in business and industry. As you know, a lot of buzz has been going on about Project Olive. We have been in contact, with people in IBN, Invest Buffalo, Niagara, and we've told them Chautauqua County's ready. We're here. If Amazon, they know the property we have, they know our abilities here. So going on 3 weeks ago, I reached out to our IDA staff and economic development staff, and they've reached out as well. So back when they first talked about there would be some problems, we got on it, and Chautauqua County has been in contact with developers and people from IBN, Invest Buffalo, Niagara, telling them that, we want to be considered as well. We have great opportunities. We have great employees here in Chautauqua County. We have the facilities, should need be, or if we want to build, we have those properties ready. So, we're going to be looking at a lot of things. We're going to hit the ground running, and, I have 10 points that I'm going to bring to light here in the next couple of weeks. But, we'll focus on that. My job is to get us through the current situation, and that's what I'm focused on now. And, we'll use that, and we'll look at other things as the new year comes along.
Yeah, absolutely. Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel joining us today. Sir, thank you for your time. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm sure we could pretty much talk for the next hour about all of this, but we appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Justin. Glad to be here.
Now let's get a check of our weather with
Well, if you want to get out on the lake today, Lake Erie water temperatures almost tied right now. 76 off Buffalo, 77 off Erie. Light winds 5 to 10 knots, and wave heights averaging about a foot or less. So if you want to take your boat out today, is going to be a great day for it. So here's what's coming up here. We rejoice in the sun and the comfortness. I don't know if comfortness is a word. I just coined it, so there you go. It turns milder tomorrow. We have some rain in the forecast for the weekend. And then if you're a fan of course, the nitty-gritty dirt band, weekend. We're going to cool ourselves from the heat. We're going to jump in the river and cool ourselves from the heat. Right now, as a noon hour, 78 with northeast wind. Look at the humidity, 47%, the dew point, 56. And that low dew point is your friend to help keep you feeling a little bit comfortable out there. So the forecast heat index here, we're going to likely peak around 85 tomorrow, back down into the 70s for the weekend, and then all the way into next week. And the heat indices will likely be very minimal as we go into the first part of the weekend. High pressure built in right now across the state, so that is giving us lots of clear weather. 2 stalled fronts, one to our north, one to our south, but those stalled fronts are going to become the focal point for some showers over the weekend. First of all, we'll take you through a future scan through today. Shows you absolutely nothing, maybe just a few high clouds moving in later this afternoon. Tonight should be mainly clear. Patchy valley fog sets up once again by the morning, so watch out for that if you're a early bird. After the fog burns off, we'll likely go back into another day of mostly sunny skies tomorrow. It turns warmer, temperatures mid-80s, and the humidity will tick up just a little bit. But further down the road, going into next week, big upper trough is going to dig into the continental 48, which is going to mean cooler than average temperatures throughout probably at least the middle of the month. So if you want to break from the heat and the humidity, hang on, it's coming. Zone forecast, inland areas today, temperatures will likely top out lower 80s across this particular area today, but at least we'll have lots of sunshine and lower humidity to make you feel better. How about the future? Coming up on the screen now, 84 tomorrow, 79 Saturday, scattered afternoon showers and storms likely. We continue storms on Sunday, 77, just a small chance for a shower or storm on Monday, and then the air turns much more refreshing as we go into next week. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you. We'll leave you with this. The National Comedy Center is presenting this year's Lucio Ball Comedy Festival virtually because of COVID-19. The previously scheduled summer lineup, which was postponed to next summer due to gathering restrictions, will still take place. But in the meantime, officials plan to offer a taste of comedy this weekend, starting tomorrow and streaming over the next 3 weekends throughout the month. Now, over 30 artists from stand-up, theater, TV, and film will be featured. Some of the big names include Louis Black, Kelly Carlin, Jimmy Fallon, Jay Leno, Howie Mandel, and even Weird Al Yankovic, just to name a few. All the programs will be available for free online at a live stream at National Comedy Center's new online platform, the National Comedy Center Anywhere. We have full details at our site, WNYNewsNow.com. That's it for us today. Of course, news continues 24/7 on our website and mobile app. We'll leave you with a live look over downtown. We're back tomorrow. Have a great day.